The Roy Rogers Museum once felt like a small piece of the Wild West tucked just around the corner. For years, fans of all ages walked through its doors and stepped into the world of the king of the cowboys, Zoot. The museum was packed with nostalgia, from gleaming saddles to priceless memorabilia that brought classic Western films back to life. It was a place people returned to again and again. Now, those doors are closed for good, leaving many to wonder how such an iconic landmark quietly disappeared. To understand why the museum closed, it helps to first understand why it existed at all. The story begins with Roy Rogers himself, born Leonard Franklin Sly on November 5, 1911, in Cincinnati, Ohio. He entered the world during hard times, growing up in a tent on 2nd Street, land that would later become the site of Riverfront Stadium. Roy liked to joke that he was born at second base, as if destiny had already nudged him toward greatness. Leonard grew up with 3 sisters, Kathleen, Mary, and Setta. His father, Andrew "Andy" Sly, hated city life and despised his job. In a move that sounded reckless but felt freeing, Andy and his brother built a houseboat out of salvaged wood, measuring 12 by 50 feet. In July 1912, the Sly family left behind routine life and floated up the Ohio River toward Portsmouth, Ohio, planning to build a house on land they had purchased. That dream changed after the Great Flood of 1913, when they dragged the houseboat onto dry land and continued living in it. By 1919, the family settled more permanently on a farm in Duck Run near Lucasville, Ohio. They built a modest 6-room house, but farming did not bring prosperity. Andy took work at a shoe factory in Portsmouth and returned home on weekends, often bringing small gifts. One weekend, he brought home a horse, a gift that would shape Leonard's future. Learning to ride sparked the beginning of a lifelong bond with horses and cowboy life. Without radios or modern entertainment, the family made their own fun. Saturday nights were filled with square dances, neighbors gathering as Leonard sang, played the mandolin, and called dance steps. During this time, he also learned to yodel, sometimes communicating with his mother across the farm by yodeling instead of shouting. Leonard began high school in McDermott, Ohio, but after 2 years the family returned to Cincinnati. Money was tight, and Leonard quit school to work alongside his father at the shoe factory. He tried night school, but exhaustion caught up with him. Teased for falling asleep in class, he eventually gave up on school entirely. In 1929, his older sister Mary and her husband moved to California. Leonard and his father packed their old 1923 Dodge and headed west to visit. The dream did not stick, and they returned to Ohio after 4 months. 4 months. But California kept calling. In 1930, Leonard returned, this time with Mary's father-in-law, followed soon after by the rest of the family. They settled near Mary in Lawndale, California. Leonard and his father found work driving gravel trucks for highway construction, but the company collapsed in 1931. With no money and no job, Leonard took work picking peaches for Del Monte, living in a labor camp that felt straight out of the grapes of wrath. It was difficult, but he survived. Everything changed when his sister urged him to audition for a local radio show called Midnight Frolic on KFOX in Inglewood. Naturally shy, Leonard almost backed out. Instead, wearing a Western shirt his sister had sewn, he performed with a guitar and a yodel. The audience loved him. Days later, he was invited to join a country group called the Rocky Mountaineers. In August 1931, Leonard officially joined the group. Wanting to expand their sound, he placed an ad seeking a tenor who could yodel. Bob Nolan answered. Though Nolan did not stay long, their connection endured. By 1933, Leonard, Nolan, and Tim Spencer reunited and formed a new trio. They rehearsed relentlessly, tightening their harmonies until they were flawless. With the addition of fiddle player Hugh Farr, their sound transformed. A radio announcer suggested a new name. The Pioneers Trio became the Sons of the Pioneers. By 1934, they were a national sensation. Radio broadcasts were syndicated nationwide, and a recording contract with Decca followed. Songs like A Tumbling Tumbleweeds and A Cool Water made them stars. Leonard soon moved into film. By 1935, he was appearing in westerns on. In 1938, Republic Pictures searched for a new singing cowboy who would not demand a large salary. Leonard won the role and was given a new name, Roy Rogers combining a catchy first name with the legendary Will Rogers surname. The transformation was instant. Roy Rogers became a matinee idol. His films rivaled Gene Autry's popularity. He appeared alongside John Wayne in Dark Command and spent 16 consecutive years ranking among the top box office Western stars. Children adored him. His colorful films, faithful horse trigger, and wholesome image made him a legend. Roy was also a brilliant businessman. In 1940, he secured rights to his name, likeness, and voice, launching one of the largest merchandising empires of the era. Toys, comics, clothing, and books flooded the market. His success rivaled even Walt Disney. He remained closely tied to the Sons of the Pioneers throughout his career. In 1944, he met Dale Evans, who became his wife and partner. Together, they were outspoken about their Christian faith and devoted themselves to charity, especially helping homeless and disabled children. The Roy Rogers Museum was created to preserve this extraordinary legacy. It opened in California and later moved to Branson, Missouri, becoming a pilgrimage site for fans. Inside were saddles, costumes, film props, instruments, and the preserved remains of Trigger and Roy's dog Bullet. Roy had been unable to bury them, choosing instead to keep them close. After Roy's death in 1998, attendance declined sharply. Rising costs and fewer visitors made the museum unsustainable. Roy had left clear instructions that if the museum became a burden, it should be closed. In 2009, the family followed his wishes. The collection was auctioned at Christie's in 2010. Over 300 items sold, many far exceeding expectations. Roy's first guitar sold for over 4 times its estimated value. The auction ended emotionally, with the crowd singing Happy Trails. Trigger and Bullet were saved by a devoted bidder who later received thousands of messages thanking him. Roy Rogers passed away on July 6, 1998, at age 86, surrounded by family. Presidents, entertainers, and fans honored his life and values. Though the museum is gone, his legacy remains alive through films, music, and generations who grew up believing in truth, kindness, and decency. The King of the Cowboys never truly rode off into the sunset. His story still echoes, steady and enduring like hoofbeats across the open plains.